the Women Talking is about a very specific context, which is sexual violence in a Mennonite colony in Bolivia. I think that the commentary and the discussion of the women in the movie about what they should do about that sexual violence actually has relevance beyond the realm of sexual violence and beyond that specific colony to really broader society. I shared one clip already in part 1, and this is part 2. Watch this clip.
It is possible the men in prison are not guilty of the attacks, but are they guilty of not stopping the attacks? Are they guilty of knowing about the attacks and doing nothing? How should we know what they're guilty of or not? But we do know. We do know that the conditions have been created by men and that these attacks have been made possible because of the circumstances of the colony. And those circumstances have been created and ordained by the men.
But wait, aren't you suggesting that the attackers are as much victims as the victims of the attacks? That all of us, men and women, are victims of the circumstances from which the colony has been created?
In a sense, yes.
As a woman surgeon with a PhD studying gender stereotypes, I often talk about barriers to the lives and careers of women. But gender schemas, bias, and stereotypes don't just harm women, they harm men too. As she says in this clip, even though the world we live in is largely structured by and for men, they're also harmed by it. These gendered expectations place limits on how men can express themselves and how women can express ourselves. Because of gender schemas, men are taught that expressing emotions is weak. They are taught that they must be tall and muscular and rich to bring value. They are taught that they should be authoritative and direct, and that if they're thoughtful and caring, that is weak. Given all that, it's not exactly a surprise that many men lean into these internet brodoms run by people whose name rhymes with fate. They too feel trapped by these gender schemas. And we did a study about this a few years back where we looked at men and women training to become surgeons and asked them about the extent to which they felt judged for their gender or whether they felt that they were under pressure to be representative of their gender. And what we found was that for both men and women, the more they felt this pressure and this concern about being judged for their gender, the worse their psychological well-being was. So even though many people think of feminism as a dirty word, it's actually how we get out of all of this. That's how we liberate ourselves from these stereotypes and these gender schemas. And I mean all of us, not just men and not just women, people of all genders. But women and other people who are marginalized can't do this on our own. The sooner men get on board, the sooner we will all be free.